Nice.
All right, we are here doing a Myth World Cup Finals review. Probably the most prestigious Finals review that's ever been put together, with none other than Shaister himself and CU.
Hey, what's up?
Hey guys,
Hello.
thanks for joining. So, CU as a neutral party here, heading into the finals, I think you predicted a 4-3 Hots win. Can you give me your impressions of both teams and what led you to make that pick?
Well, Limp was stratting all week, and your team was not. That was an important aspect. Though you guys were in Myth. I don't know what you were doing, though.
You guys were stratting, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, so, and I'll take some blame here. We spent a lot of time strategizing. The problem is 80% of that was me telling them that we needed to do a mall rush on map 2 or we were going to lose the series. So we spent about 6 hours on the second map. Which arguably, I could have just let that one go, but it is what it is.
I mean, I don't think most of your strats were terrible. I think that the trade wasn't the best on that desert map, Desert Ruins.
Yeah.
But I thought overall they were decent. Just kind of the reactive strats, you didn't actually react quick enough, I didn't think.
Yeah, I thought, your team was playing pretty passive. I thought, actually, that LSO might have learned his lesson and been more aggressive, but I guess not.
Yeah, we thought you might do some rushes or something.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to react, especially if you're not a really strong team, that knows what's going on.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in general, I think, LSO's specialty is microing archers or artillery units. That's what he really likes to do.
Right.
He really doesn't. This was the one strat that was mostly me, and it was intended to be a little bit of a hidden rush, where actually none of these Stellan warriors are showing south, and we're showing just archers and thrall, and we've got kind of melee hidden behind. But even a hidden rush was not on the table. So
I mean, it worked. It was almost identical to our strat.
Yeah, I noticed that. So similar trades. I mean, both max pots. You guys have 7 dwarves. How many do we have? So we've got a few less. We have 6, 1 less. So almost exactly the same. And then the split's the same. So you guys go very heavy south. Gecko's on the archers on your side. We of course have Donsky and PK on our side. And the temptation for us was always to go heavy archers because Donsky, PK, LSO, and ours are all really good on archers. So I think that was a trap we sometimes fell into.
Yeah. It's just a terrible map for bows, though.
Yeah. You're inherently playing as a squad when you have bows. You're as fast as your slowest unit. Oh,
well, and you're useless. You're useless mid with all these houses.
Yeah, exactly. Paris actually did. I think it was him doing earlier commentary about how Guts was targeting dwarves with their pus in the beginning. And I think that really helped them considerably as the map went on. The fact that they had a major advantage going into the end game there.
So, what was the thought behind giving LSO a gigantic melee pack when he's capping here?
I mean that's the units he wanted. I think this is another one you could blame me on. Is I was pretty annoyed with how our game types had played out late game, and so I demanded to have a goal pack on most of these maps because I think that puts me in a position to just get in a weird spot late and be available to tag. So if I hadn't demanded that, I think Blade runs the goal pack. I think I probably run that melee pack, but with our team, LSO probably is the next best player. It's a tough spot to have those units when you're also captaining.
Right. I felt like in a lot of the games he was just slowly bleeding units because he was trying to look all over the map and do his own units at the same time. Maybe not so much in this one, but
Yeah, I know he did mention on, and I think if we get to it tonight, we'll see it on Lichen, or Lycan, whatever it's called. I mispronounce every myth name.
He's Lichen.
Yeah. Okay, I say Lichen. Everyone
That's
else
Lichen.
is telling me it's Lycan, though. I don't
Is
know.
it like? I don't know.
yeah, it's definitely Lycan. Like
See, okay,
the Mox,
I'm not
you know.
alone.
I don't have Lycan around where I live, so I don't know.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I think it was the case where he was trying to multitask quite a bit, which again,
Right.
I mean, the guy he uses a ton of presets. He's used to doing it in the smaller 1v1s, but it's not the same dynamic.
so you can see here. This was kind of our plan. We were hoping you guys would push into us into that open space, and then basically all our warrior packs would come down and squish. I think it would have worked okay. We wasted so much pus on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see, our idea of a hidden rush. It that melee pack went north for some reason.
Yeah.
So it should be behind here, right, out of vision,
Right.
pushing into you, and
Right.
it just didn't happen.
I think they were afraid of all the dwarves we had. I mean, we were not really rushable ourselves either.
Yeah, I
It
think
was a tough
if you'd
situation.
seen, it maybe not, but I feel like if LSO shows, you probably just back out. So I don't think it turns
Right.
into a counter rush. It's just at that point, it maybe doesn't make sense.
I mean, he's there.
Oh, go ahead.
You can see him hovering behind that building, trying to push in, but he just doesn't. He can't get into those two dwarves there.
Yep. So pretty even at this point. I mean, we have lost, looks like 2 dwarves so far. Genghis, that style gets hit up pretty hard, but from a percent perspective, it's pretty much dead even at this point.
Right.
And 6 minutes left. Flags don't really matter. I think the teams are in an equal position. Both of us have a goal pack running around in the backfield, just harassing. So
Right.
I wouldn't say there's an advantage either way there.
I mean, I felt like we had a slight advantage here, just because it looks like we've got more space. Your guys are kind of pushed into a tight corner there,
Yep.
but it's not really that difficult for you to get your warrior packs out and around on the map, which you guys did. So
Yeah, there's plenty of room to back out, which makes it hard for you guys. If you keep pushing, then you end up in the choke.
right.
At one point, I did want to rush this, which would have been a bad idea,
no.
like most of my rushes. So I was like, I'm behind him, guys. Let's go. So good call for the team not listening there.
Yeah. And then you can see Hots aborted their push now, and they're playing the actual game type.
Yeah, I don't know if we would have been better off not attacking you guys at all and just spreading out across the map. We did have decent position controlling the center of the map before that push.
Yeah, and you guys are staying very tight together right now, too.
Right.
And it was a pretty okay executed rush, and it sent the tempo, so I wouldn't be too upset with it.
Yeah, it was basically a wash, except that we used up so much pus,
Yeah.
basically to trade even percents.
Yeah, so we've got 2 dwarves left. You guys have all of yours, 2, 4. You still have 5. So you do have a
Right.
5 dwarf to 2 advantage at this point, just less
Right.
melee and pus.
Yep. We evened up the bows too.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty huge advantage.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. So Asmo goes to trail me, which is a pretty even percent, but it's hard for him to do a whole lot, I guess, other than just follow. And then I think you eventually shift north as well, Shai.
Yeah, I chase LSO with a few melee and my dwarf.
I did have an infuriating bottle pus dud that I missed, but that's okay.
You had a lot of bad luck with bottle pussing this match.
Well, this was the only one I would say was bad luck. The others were a lack of skill.
This is actually where a lot of teams struggle, is when it's open-ended like this, and now you have to rely on each individual player's intelligence.
Right. I mean, there's like no clear plan here other than spread out across the map.
Yeah.
Like controlled chaos. So it's you really have to have a bunch of aware players that
well, it's
get
like
done right.
Who took initiative? Like Spoon and Blade, no one told them to sneak off taggers, right? And I'm sure you guys are doing the same thing where you've got Asmo that splits off, Shy starts going north, but you're again, who of your 8 players actually does that can make a big difference.
You did that a lot way back in the day. Noticed that.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the when I used presets. One of my favorite things to do is just have units in random places behind the enemy, just to distract them, because I felt like it just makes people play worse when they're thinking about stuff in the backfield.
It absolutely does, for sure. Especially if they have a squad time. Even just ghouls behind them. We always tried to do that. Ska would put ghouls behind their mid, and they had squads, and they're fighting Dansky, so then they're thinking about the ghouls behind them.
Yep.
Works big time. Just a small thing, but it matters. 8 thrall.
Well, in general, I like Myth just doing weird stuff. Like same thing with Trout, where you just leave. Because people, they're used to playing it a certain way, and then they just get distracted. But anyway, even percent still slight advantage. I mean, 3%. That's basically nothing. This fight was big. I mean, it could have gone a couple of ways. I think, Shai, if your dwarf were to die to Eliso's pus, the game's over.
Right.
So it doesn't, which I think I think Genghis told me you had a dud, or maybe it was Asmo. So maybe we'll focus.
No,
on
I had a dud bottle on LSO's melee up north. About a couple minutes after this.
Gotcha.
He's actually. I haven't been watching LSO. That was pretty good what he just did there. He's trying to bait you to throw your dwarf in with the melee. That was pretty good by him.
I mean, from a micro perspective, there's a reason the guy won, the 1v1, the 2v2, and the 3v3. Like, the fast clicking and knowing how to win small BC fights, he's probably... I mean, he lost a couple one-on-ones to Thierry, but other than that, I think he's as good or better than anyone that's still playing.
Yeah, I think he's excellent in artillery situations on an even flank, where it's just a straight-up fight. I don't think these open fights, melee packs in particular, I don't think he's really figured out what he's doing yet. But
so yeah, I think the dud maybe lets you win this fight, but it would still be hard for you guys to hold this northern flag.
Right.
I'm surprised. I didn't really realize at the time these percents are so close, and flags are super close as well. This also felt, by the way, like the longest sudden death of my life. There were several flags that you guys could just permanently contest, so it was pretty stressful for us at the time.
Yeah, we had a couple small Puskulls over on that far east flag just permanently contesting.
Oh yeah,
versus
I see
those
him.
2 warriors.
Yeah. So still, again, small engagements on the map. Everyone's scattering. Again, at this point, it's a little bit luck, honestly, and like who sent what to what flags in terms of what you can contest.
Right.
And then it comes down to like these small fights. Like if this dwarf manages to kill Spoon, H&P maybe can hold this flag, but if he doesn't, then it's going to be pretty easy for us to have it for the rest of the map.
That's the dwarves that are going to win the day here.
Genghis is upset about that dud and all the other duds.
Does not complain about duds, though. Is that what he's doing? I can't even read the screen.
Oh no, I'm not reading it. I'm joking.
Okay.
In general, Genghis is like Myth's #1 dud hater.
He's
proponent
new
of
adrenaline.
Yeah, he's a proponent of having duds removed from the game.
What?
Okay, so we're down in percent now, but way up on flags, and we make the call to walk off. Spoon doesn't. So about probably 10 seconds ago, like we'd said, just get off because we knew we couldn't contest these. So luckily, it didn't backfire. LSO eventually, I think, takes the thrall and manually walks him off.
I mean, that always happens.
Oh,
There's always someone who doesn't get the memo.
Yeah. When it changes too, like, because then and that happened a couple times for us where we're saying walk off, and then 10 seconds go by, a couple flags change, and it's like, oh shit, never mind. Now you have to contest. So stats wise, I mean, nothing jumps out at me. I think very close game, just couple small things here or there. This could have gone either way. I guess that's my hot take.
For some reason, I thought Hots won this map. I realized they didn't.
It was super close.
It was very close.
There you go.
We always had trouble with the end games like this. It was always, I think, our weakest point was all the scrambling, try to get flags there at the end.
Right. I mean, we usually like to go for a set play at the beginning to get a BC or position advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked about that when I did the 2007 review. Like the first map on Canyon, you guys rushed everything like all one way to get up and basically turn it into a BC fight. But then you just sort of stopped pushing, waited a little bit, and then tried to turn it into tagging. It felt like you had it in...
It's such a difficult map to do anything dynamic and aggressive on. Canyon. With all the narrow pathways and the gigantic terrain advantage, it's very difficult.
Yeah, no, I agree. So you see in our chat, Donsky is commiserating with me, sad that we're not going to do a mall rush.
So what was your plan? You're just going to rush a bunch of malls straight through middle, or three prong it, or what?
You know, there's a shallow crossing between mid and south. And so flag 4 would have been our home. We would have sent 3 trow mid, 1 merc tagger north, and then a small merc squad over to flag 3 to just see if we could steal if you only had 1 merc tagger. And then mid and the shallow mid flank crash in, and we just basically, remember Name Changers versus Armageddon on Axe when we did a all one way rush with Stigs? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Very same concept. Just betting that if you guys are split or if you had a bunch of Solus, we would just ignore your Solus and run by. But anyway, my team's going to get mad and we're talking about my hypothetical mall rush. Biggest difference here on trades, we got, I think, more souls by a very large margin and no malls. You guys got 4 artillery. So you got less artillery on souls and less artillery on morts and locks. I guess from a strategy perspective, what were you guys planning, Shai?
We wanted to be able to spread out across the map without worrying about being kicked immediately. I mean, you can see what kind of happened with you guys. You had an almost untouchable middle, but you had to be very compact. You had like 4 or 5 artillery just hanging around on the flag and afraid to push out on the map. So we wanted to be able to push out on the map, trap something if we could, and run past your artillery if we couldn't.
Makes sense. I think I'm not 100% sure on where we went wrong here. I think what I heard was that we had some screw ups west where we lost several mercs and gave up a couple tags. So it's like I don't think LSO was watching what was going on west because he lost his mort for free. He lost a couple of crids for free. He basically let Asmo capture all your back flags without putting up any resistance. It was weird. Yeah, and in like the point of view stream, I think we're trying to like say, hey, we have to defend flags, but to your point, it's possible he was watching somewhere else. He must have been. But did you guys consider getting whites? So in my strat, we were going to have 2 whites sunk here as part of our flag 4 last defense. Right. Honestly, this strategy was, I think, one from like a 2015 Myth World Cup game between like GKG and Rat King's team. And we made some tweaks to it, but in general, it was pretty canned. This is the one we didn't have a set of a plan for. This one, and I think the last one, just because, again, I take blame for that. I was throwing out too many, weird ideas.
Yeah. I would have liked to see them all rush here. I think it's definitely viable.
Yeah, I mean it's a high risk, high reward, right? It totally could. If you guys had a bunch of our like warts and locks, I think we just die or very few
plus
souls.
there's some really good soul hills in the backfield that are difficult to push into.
So pretty even stuff. You guys shift your try to mirror Tiri's flank. I push across mid. I thought Genghis could have pushed me off the mid flag. He had an opportunity early, but you don't really need to. So can't really complain about it.
I mean, it would have been nice if we could have done it early. I mean, it would have made it a lot harder for you guys to defend, I think.
Yeah, and small differences here. So we only send 2 taggers north, and we send nothing contest 3. So we do this on the last map too. Like we gave away the flag advantage that we got by holding mid because you can't really count on holding mid all game.
Right. So I wonder what would have happened if you guys had kept pushing us through mid with some of your souls.
Like taking eventually, the soul hill?
Yeah, or following your troves as they push into us. Because you end up being able to take our flag, but then you've got a big chunk of melee with 0 support once Thou comes in.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about. And so I think this is what Elso was talking about. So Elso now gives up flag 6.
Right.
Yeah, that was good.
So at this point, like speaking of what we were talking about last game, like I see you guys go a little bit more towards mid, and so I tell Tiri I'm just gonna try to go tag their home flag and see what they do.
Right.
Which forces you guys to react. To your point, I think we're starting to freak out about flags.
Yeah.
Is actually what's happening. Because Elsa then lets this Merc Pack get ahead of him. Yeah, so I think that's why our mid is staying mid. Is our mid is deathly afraid of leaving mid because we're losing flags everywhere else.
Right.
That have so many souls, you can't really do anything at this point. With it's all there's a lot of points that are not in the game right now.
Yeah, I think if we could have ended up meeting up, getting our souls over here to support the Trout, it might have helped. But really, I thought, look, we're gonna get victory imminent, and that's a pretty good spot, and then we'll just see what they have on D and consolidate on 1 or 2 flags. But we're already down to 2 flags, and ours is going to be in a tough spot here in a minute.
And you can see me down there. That's my Crids rushing in south. I mean, if you guys had 1 or 2 whites, you would have stalked me dead. Probably won the game, I think. I mean, I think they're really good.
Yeah, especially for defense. I think it'd be rare to see it play out how it did in this game, where the last flag's mid and whites are super OP, flanking mid. I thought that was hilarious. But I agree with you. I think they're very good on defense. I also thought that Tiri and I thought that HMP would basically trap us. I thought we were going to end up dying in a really bad way here.
Yeah.
That's close.
Yep, so you managed to kill off Ars's lock. So at this point, both teams have victory imminent. Genghis is saying trap the Trow, which is the right call. I mean, it's really hard to trap Trow when there's enough space, but it sure looked like we were at least risking it.
I think if they weren't so concerned about defending our artillery, they would have been able to trap your Trow. We had a pretty huge melee squad, and you guys were trapped in a tight corner there.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, it's only an 8% lead now. So, I mean, we still feel pretty okay about this. Trow health is a advantage for you guys. We've got 1 Trow that's taking a bit of a beating. While you guys are all still green. But I think hindsight being 2020, this is pretty over. Like I'm trying to think of a win condition for us, and I don't really have one.
I was surprised at how well you guys managed to hold us off. You killed all the trowel. There was just a few mauls left pushing you guys off at the end. It
got
was
close.
closer than it was closer than it should have been, I thought.
Yeah. So you guys ended up with one trowel that was very red at the end game, and I don't know how that happened. I also don't know what.
It was Genghis fighting Tiri, I think, up north.
Gotcha. Just hasn't happened yet. Tiri has some reserve mercs in the southeast. I wonder if he keeps us there all game. Those would have been useful.
White.
Yeah, so at this point, mid was getting very worried about being rushed. Even from just this force, because we have very little there. I don't think they were actually at risk, but the team was certainly chattering about it. Tiri does bring the Mercs back. That's good. Don't worry, Tiri. You're not a scapegoat. Like, I'm just gonna fast forward a bit. This is where Gigas does trade. Basically, this is just a trade for Trow. I don't hate the fight. I think if he was gonna do that, maybe he just commits and take Tiri's Trow even lower. But I don't know why you would take it otherwise.
I think it's probably better for us to keep our Trow healthy, just because we need them to block all your artillery for the final rush. But it's probably a wash.
So just nothing much happens here till the end of the game. I mean, from this point on, you guys 0% chance. Obviously, we have absolutely nothing that could concern your flag. We've got a total of 8 mercs, and then one red trowel, one yellow trowel, and a green one. But just this rush pack here might be able to kill us if we did this like in a simulator.
Hard to defend from 2 different angles at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, we could have split. I could have spared this red trowel just to try to be in 2 places at once. I don't think that makes much of a difference, though. I'm pretty sure Thalander had some great lock shots. I know he had an absolute shit ton of damage this game. So we'll keep an eye.
There's one really good shot. Yeah,
he's over here, so we'll keep an eye on him. Did a little bit more damage to the trowel. That's good for us.
This might be the shot. Here it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Threading the needle.
Dude.
Even if that lock is alive, I'm not sure. These mauls.
Yeah.
These mauls are quite tanky. Yeah, I mean, I think it went about as well as it could for us there. We get several trow stoned. We're able to kill quite a few mercs.
Well, we kind of went in crids first, and then the mauls came up, ass backwards.
Yeah, I took a lot of free damage on that trow, but even if it was still full green or close to full green, too many mauls, too many souls left over. So, Thalander, it wasn't just that shot, because that shot clearly wasn't 81 damage, so by far had the most damage in the game. So great job to Thal. Nothing super notable about our stats. So I think verdict here, mauls are better than souls and Artie to an extent. specifically if it ends up in this kind of in-game scenario. Thoughts?
I think that's
Were you
correct.
guys planning because you got that start that you could tag it first and hold it if needs be?
The plan wasn't to hold it because we split Trow 3 ways, and
Right.
then also eventually gave me his. But we expected you guys to have at least 2, if not 3, Trow mid. So we thought we'd
Right.
get pushed off.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really like souls in this map, to be honest. So, I don't know. Not a huge fan of having so many.
Yeah, I mean they do. They are. If this was Last Man on the Hill, for instance.
Yeah, that's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because those mid hills are so great. I do think some are good, and they, if that game had turned out differently, they may have been more useful. But the way the game went, unfortunately, they weren't able to do a whole lot.
They're more for like a stand-up fight that's like throughout the map and not like a spread out thing like Flag Rally. Based on that map.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then, if we could do that over again, holding, any one of the 4 flags that we, gave up to minimal percent from HOTS, that could have made a difference just because it would have forced you guys to remain split up, trying to tag more than one place. Still might be able to do it, but it would have been closer. All right, so game 3. Score is now 1-1. This is Leagues from Somewhere, but Limp's plugin is Leagues from Nowhere, so I don't know what it's called. But here we are. I think pretty similar trades here, and actually I was surprised.
We got a lot less warriors.
Yeah, you got a lot more Thrall.
Yeah.
It ended up being a little bit of a inverted strat where you guys had a ton of archers on the side where we basically had none.
Right. I mean, we were kind of thinking of playing it a little bit like Myopia because it's such a small map. The mid is very similar to Myopia.
Yep.
If you remember it, we went warriorless on that one, I believe.
Yeah, and we talked about that and having kind of Tiri play in the middle on a Zerk pack just like he did on the Heron pack.
Right.
But here I think the idea was we have a quote unquote unstoppable push, and then we've got small Zerk and Goal tag forces. But being in this setup, I think Blade and I see this. There's really, what are we going to contest? In like another minute or so, we're going to have to concede this.
Right. I do think on King of the Map, it would be difficult to go totally warriorless. I think eventually you'd get spread out to the point where one half of you could be rushed.
Yeah. Or you're so concentrated that you're just not able to contest enough flags. Yeah.
Exactly.
So some dancing early. We actually got a pretty decent lead. Mostly, I think, through being able to hold off mid. For a bit. But Gecko's going to be able to push us off northwest pretty easily. Not much going on, so we'll just speed it up a bit.
I mean, this kind of played out a little bit like Raisin Barn in that you guys pushed through very strong in the south, and we attempted to rush it, and it just didn't quite work out.
Yeah, I mean, 2 things that were interesting. So, I think LSO is a little bit far away when the rush actually comes, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting to see where he was at. So again, just fast forwarding, nothing much to see. Still got a fairly insignificant time advantage. Flags are even, percents are even, so nothing much has happened yet.
Were you guys talking about rushing anything during this?
No. I think at one point I was telling, yeah, actually that's not true. In a minute, I really wanted everyone to rush Shy because I had 2 pus behind him. And I thought LSO could come in, with all of us and we might be able to wipe it. But up to this point, we hadn't been talking about rushing.
I mean, it's kind of hard to catch me though. I'm all fast melee.
Yeah. Hard to rush a rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thought was that you guys were pushing in and you were going to engage.
Right.
So this is the point. So it also started to go north. So right now our south looks more vulnerable than it is, though you could, in theory, like we're seeing here, get off a couple of good pass.
Right.
That was a good pass from Asmo. Most of the passing, I agree with you, Shaister, this year in general has seemed pretty abysmal.
I got a decent one right here,
That's
That
a really good one.
but I couldn't actually follow up on it with LSO right there.
He's got so many warriors that I really thought that we'd be able to. This was a fight I thought we could take. That was a very bad pass. So Asmo evening it up.
Yeah.
you can't get them all.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
eventually
I love that.
suicide mine, so it's
I
fine.
mean, that might have been enough to turn the fight for us. At least let us get a few more kills before disengaging.
Yeah, there were a lot of warriors that were vulnerable there for sure. So similar to Myopia, I mean, Tiri keeps his stuff alive all game. I know we'll come back to that a little bit later, but that is valuable. Like, that's something you need your Zerk pack to do if you're going to have a dedicated Zerk pack on this. Otherwise, it's pretty useless.
Right.
Blade did a better job than me. This is why I actually asked. I would really love it if on King of the Map there was a stat in the end that showed you contest time by player.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because then you could see, like, I think Blade did a really good job comparative to me on this map of getting Zerks and goals in position. I'm basically dead at this point. So I guess I will pause it for 1 second right here. So this is my biggest observation about our problems on King of the Map maps. It's 9 flags to 4. So you guys are getting double time. No one on our team starts talking about flags, as I recall, for at least 2 or 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so really the time for us to be like, oh shit, like, we've got all of this. This is way too much southeast, right? This needs to be finding somewhere else to go, whether it's shifting north or mid. But we're clumped and just losing time pretty quickly.
I mean, that's really what your captain should be doing. I mean, he's supposed to pull the rest of your team back when you're too focused on BCing or one particular area of the map.
This is the third map in a row we're attacking LSO and his capping.
I don't think I've been attacking his capping yet.
You have.
No, I don't think I have. Okay, another good pass.
Right there.
LSO, very good pass. Taking out Genghis. And so now we've got a percent lead. Very bad pass by Tiri, but it does, so that's okay.
I mean, Genghis and Gecko had some crossed wires there. Gecko was sending back his melee to hold a flag on the west side, and Genghis was just charging ahead into the middle of like 3 of your guys. He just got absolutely crushed.
I don't understand why he just does that. Because you can't follow it up, so you just wasted a pass for no reason. I guess you can 1-kill shot it, but no.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just betting. But 9 flags to 5. We're still in a good spot, but we're super concentrated. So, like, PK does not need to be where he's at. Like, he's got to be contesting this flag or trying to push into Thal. That's hard, but he's got more archers. So I feel like now's the point where it's 3 minutes left where we should be telling him, like, look, there's no time. Like, you've got to start taking aggressive fights.
Right. I mean, with no dwarf there, he can easily push into that.
Yeah, and there's nothing here that could rush him. So now you guys have shifted HMP here. In a minute, I spare these warriors to ours on accident. And they die. Yeah. But yeah, 3 minutes left. 11. Like from this point on, it would take a minor miracle, which almost happens. There's an 11-minute lead on your side. We've got the percent advantage, but we're still pretty concentrated in a couple places.
It just seems to me like this map and the other maps that your team is reacting versus theirs, who is being active and trying to win the game. Even that rush, which didn't necessarily like win the game at all on this map, still the tone for how they're approaching the game. This is your team, which seems like you guys are just trying not to lose.
I mean,
oh, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, Ku was harping on us actually for a few weeks that we needed to be more aggressive, and he was right. I mean, it's good advice.
You guys definitely turned that around big time.
Yeah,
it's like a different team.
On this game, I think the biggest thing for us is that we just stayed south for too long. So, like, if anything, we were just super BC focused. So here's the very unfortunate.
I did not know about that.
I don't know which player that was. I'm not gonna name names. But I do think that's big.
I think that was LSO, right?
Yeah, I think it was big. I mean, I think Thierry at a minimum can kill Thal if he's got all of those Zerks alive, and then potentially could push to one of these flags. I don't know if that's game changing. I think there's a lot of different things that go into that, but we do have a flag lead. It's now 10 flags to 4, 9 to 5, so we're making up ground. But again, the hole that we had dug there at one point, down 12 minutes with 3 minutes left, it puts you in a pretty tough spot.
Mm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, interesting little dance there. Yeah, we get into some small pus wars. So at this point, we're just trying everywhere. If we can just push you guys off the flag, it looks like there's a possibility, to catch this up. It's now down to like a 2-minute lead. So if this were another 30 seconds, at this point we're up in percent. We're up in flag times. It may have been enough, with that flag advantage. So very close game. I think better attention to game time earlier.
Did he say anything when he blew himself up?
Yeah, he just said OMG.
Thought he did. Didn't say anything on mic.
He's very quiet. The only time he really talked on mic was when he was telling me not to go suicide.
Oh. Entertaining match for sure. Boring. Well, one map was kind of boring, but
yeah, I mean, just like the first DE match, like the first 3 games, Ver, Arcane, and Myopia were incredibly close. Like the flag trade on Myopia, it's very rare that you see that, and then it doesn't end in a tie. And then these first 4 were all really, really good stuff. And the last one was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I felt both matches honestly were a coin flip. I could not tell at any point who was going to win.
Yeah, I think that's the saddest, thing for us on losing that game 7 is whether or not we win either the tiebreaker or sudden death. It would have been 1 or 3 more really good games,
Right. This was my least favorite map by far.
Yeah, I mean, forest giant maps, I don't know. Like, I used to like Axe back in the day, but now I feel like I'm just bored. It's like FGs shadow each other for the entire game. I don't know.
I mean, they're feast or famine. I mean, it's so hard to make a play with the forest giant until the pus is cleared out. And then they just annihilate everything on the map.
Yep. So we got EW and Genghis versus Thierry and myself on the FGs. Pretty even trade. I think. Okay, so you guys pop 3. I think we pop only 2. So small difference. Neither team got big pus though, so I don't know how much of a real difference that makes.
You got our forest giant with a small pus, I think.
I did. After horribly wasting my large pus. So, CU, maybe you can answer this question while I get this game into place. We're going to go back to 2007 again in sudden death on Axe. You guys had Fire and Donsky running 4 Morts with Thrall Elite and no Goal Pus, and you had like 4 dedicated Zerk packs, and I want to know what that plan was.
I wasn't in that game, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know if we made a strat. Well,
It was
must
their
have been
pick.
one we reused. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Anyway,
had a strat for that. Yeah.
not to distract us. It's been bugging me ever since I watched the game. So pretty similar strats here. The one difference, you guys had a much heavier flank than we did. In fact,
Yeah. I really did not like this strat from Limp because he thought that hill outside of the village point was important. I thought it was not important, and it made it difficult to get back into the village because you have to push up, into the high ground through a narrow choke. I thought we should have just had everything going around the sides of the village inside the river.
Didn't you want to trap them mid or something? I forget what you guys were talking about in private, but
Yeah, Limp was hoping you guys would rush, like if we sent a small force out onto that hill, that you would rush it or something, and then we would counter rush.
yeah, interesting fact, it didn't play into this match, but these little hills, Morts can shoot over these buildings.
Yeah.
So I was curious if that would come into play, but I feel like when I tested it, it's really hard to do. Even control clicking, but
No one really fought in the village, as far as I can tell.
yeah, I mean, I think it looks kind of cool, but in general, I think it makes maps less playable.
Yeah.
It's just clumpy. It makes, even pathfinding can be a little bit wonky. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
So our shifts, eventually we had no one south, so we end up sending ours south to face off against Gecko and Thal. So, I mean, you guys have an advantage here. I think that was one of our concerns. If we had anybody but ours down there, I think it would have been scarier. But ours is a good player to have in a position where he needs to hold. This was one that it was pretty boring, and then it, went to 90 miles an hour very quickly at the end.
Yeah, I made some terrible decisions up north versus Dansky, but I've just been really bad on dark artillery pretty much the entire tournament. So I didn't want to actually take any, but there's not much you can do here.
Yeah, Warlocks have been the hardest, coming back. That was the one unit that it took me forever to even figure out the range. I was constantly dying to them and not killing anything with them.
Right.
It's a lot of back and forth. Very little percent has even been traded. Ours has been getting pushed, so he's not losing any units, and it looks like he's done some damage, but he is getting pushed pretty bad, and if he were to get cornered, eventually they would be able to kill him. We do send Blade to help him out, and because this mid is so campy, I don't think it really matters that Blade's not here.
I mean, I almost feel like you could have just ignored our flank. I mean, I'm not sure what it could have done in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, the flags are so far apart outside of mid that it would have made a difference. This didn't end up mattering, but I wanted to just get in behind and just give Gecko and Thalander something to worry about. So I just left mid. I think that's a smart move by LSO. He's not really doing anything mid. So I don't know if this is going to accomplish anything, but it's at least distracting.
Right. It did draw off a lot of our forces chasing after you guys up there.
It's lucky for us you didn't sink one of your whites over here, or that could have been a problem. Yeah, good shot from Donsky.
That's me. Yep. And then Argos, I think, gets me from the side right after.
Oh, yeah, we got a ninja mortar flank.
Nice.
So, so you guys, where did that percent drop come from? Was that all Shaister dying?
Pretty much. That was me.
Okay, well, South also lost the lock.
Eastwind loses his Forest Giant right about that same time, too.
Yeah, he's about to, but it's at this point it's already a 20% lead. So I got really excited on the mic, thinking that me killing EW's Giant, in spite of this truly awful puss. I thought this was going to be very meaningful because I killed, I'm basically full green, but we're already up by 23%, and then
Fast.
you'll see what happens after. But this is over. Our team was freaking out a lot about contesting, but in general, with this big of a percent advantage, there's nothing wrong with contesting. Like, if you guys keep contesting, we will eventually still be able to tag you out just because we have so much more on the map.
Right.
Okay, so I immediately lose this FG, not doing one single solitary damage to any unit. Too aghast. But
it's interesting
goes
here.
down.
Why they're losing, that's not because your team is like outmaneuvering them at all. They're just losing a bunch of like 1v1 fights throughout the map all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think your East fell apart. Blade reinforced, and we did have an FG that was just behind for them to think about. So I think that may have helped. But in general, yeah, I don't know that we didn't make any decisive call here.
Everyone just decided to suicide at the same time.
Yeah. And some of this, and not, like, I don't think this is an excuse because it wouldn't change the outcome, but I think to talk about our lack of decision-making, it's not really, it's not a product of LSO not doing it. I think our voice was very busy. We had a lot of people talking. It got better in the finals. But it was really hard to figure out, like, okay, who is going to be the shot caller this game? We've got a lot of really smart players, so there was some, like, LSO isn't necessarily trying to boss ours or Tiri around, right? Which I think is totally fair.
That's the problem with voice, is because everybody's talking at this. Like, I haven't really experienced it with Myth. I think we tried it once way back in the day, and I hated it. Everybody talks at the same time, versus when you're typing, you have to actually focus for a second on typing. So what comes out is actually going to be a lot more meaningful than voice, which you can just like say whatever.
It's true, but it just lets you react so much quicker on voice.
Yeah,
Just need
maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's that this was the first time, because I never used voice. Even when I was on Name Changers, I didn't know you guys even did.
We tried it and we hated it.
Yeah.
We never did it again.
So I think my preference on Myth is not to use voice. That's why even though I thought Shaister, you, and Genghis were on voice in the 3v3, I didn't want to do it because I think it makes me play worse.
I think you just have to get used to it.
Yeah,
honestly.
I'm sure that's true. Yeah.
You have to have like a way of understanding of who can, like, can't have 7 people talk at the same time.
Yeah, a shot caller is certainly needed. I agree. And it can be it doesn't necessarily have to be the captain. Like, you can have shot callers on flanks, as a for instance, right? Somebody's got to make the call of, are we going to push or not push in a certain area? Like, I think it's definitely a team activity.
Probably should. You shouldn't. I never liked teams that relied on the captain to say everything, because A, there was only like very few people who ever could do that, and B, captain can't look throughout the map all at the same time. They have their own things to do too. Versus 2 people on one flank that play together a lot can communicate together a lot easier and quicker and figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Never understood the like wanting Hitlo to tell them everything to do. It's always bizarre to me.
All right, so this is the most boring of the matches. Spoiler alert. But at this point, it's 2 games of 2, so we're all tied up. I didn't notice an enormous, and I'm not doing a good job of analyzing the planning time here. I didn't notice a huge difference in the trades The big difference on this map was just prioritizing mid. So, we've got Spoon and Thierry, for instance, that are flanking a bit, where you guys have just a totally massive mid. So I think if Spoon is up here, that still isn't enough melee to contest this. So after we give it mid, I think, everything else from that point is just kind of a camp off.
Really nice looking map. Never played it. It looks really good.
Yeah, I like the water.
Yeah. It's different.
I don't think it's the best map for capture the flag. It just
Flag Rally or King of the Map would have been cool here.
Right. I mean, either both teams have to duke it out mid right at the start, or one team ends up being forced into a bad position.
Yeah. And our goal, so we had a goal pack. I mean, the idea is that this gets behind and is just harassing. This isn't a good map. Like, just the way the flags are placed, I don't think either team was seriously thinking you'd be able to sneak anything to actually contest.
The thing is, like, everything's very, there's rivers, but everything's very easy to get wherever you want to on this map versus something like Care, where you have to walk a long way, so you can actually do a pretty heavy jugger and, get a huge advantage.
Right. Well, and plus, once you have the mid, you basically have access to every single part of the map.
Exactly. Yeah, this is really boring.
We're going to go up to 8x. Maybe even 16 for a minute. Only action here that's happening is I'm running my goal pack back and forth. At some point in our voice, I just asked different people if they want to push with me. And I chased your goal.
My puck's goal, yeah.
So is your team, besides you, talking about, like, anything?
Yes and no. I mean, I think they're right in the sense that at this point we're at a disadvantage anywhere we push, and if we were to try to push somewhere right now, that's not smart. My big thing about maps like this is that even if you lose the fight, being the one that is pushing in or being aggressive and forcing the other team to collapse to your play basically takes your flag out of the possibility of them tagging it. We saw it on Tallow too. So at this point, we did talk about rushing mid.
Yeah, it looked like it.
Good.
Paris thought you were going to on the stream. Everybody did, actually. They thought that was it. And then, nope.
I didn't think it would. I don't think it would work. I mean, the goal pack's behind there, and then you've also got Genghis that's pretty close. If we'd shifted, like an interesting play would have been to shift like some of this extra melee mid if we actually wanted to rush mid. But, LSO has a warrior, a Stig, and a J-Man at this point. And he did raise the point. LSO wanted me to say that he believed the right play. He really wanted North to just push into this and take this fight, even at a little bit of a hill disadvantage, because with more archers, I think the theory is, we can hold off Shaister, and then we just have to win this archer battle. At least is the theory.
I think that would have been easier than pushing mid. I don't think you can get back into mid once you're pushed out.
Yeah, it's very hard for sure.
So what did you think about pushing through south with some bows or something?
I don't think south was pushable, honestly, with the way our units are set up. I mean, if it were up to me, we would try to turn this into a 50-50 and push in and fight you. But the only way that works is if you guys agree to fight us before your mid can pinch. So I think that would have been hard.
I mean, the other nice thing about pushing on a flank is you force everyone else to react. So you might pull away some of our units from mid, and then your mid actually has a chance to push in. Yeah,
I really wanted Blade to pressure with Thierry. This is the part where I was kind of I thought we could just force a fight. And even though I don't think we have an advantage, I was just getting antsy, and it's 3 minutes. If we fight this, I don't know that we're favored. It may be even like 60-40. You guys are favored. But I think it happens slow enough, and your mid may have to react to just collapse on it, that it's going to be hard for you to tag our flag, I think.
Right.
Could be wrong. This is where Thierry tells me don't suicide, so we give up that plan.
Passive play.
Yeah, I mean, on this map, for sure. Like, more so than any of the others on this match. I mean, I think this was very similar to some of the matches you've seen us in earlier rounds as well. My goal pack does literally nothing. Wastes several pus absolutely horribly.
It was really bad pussing.
That was a good pus by
There
Spoon.
you go. Yeah.
So North is now winning. So again, could they have pushed earlier and won that fight? Maybe. At this point, I don't know that they should be fighting. At least one of them should be running to our flag, which we're saying in the chat.
I mean, we were pushing into a gigantic hill there. It was really. We knew we were gonna lose that probably.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, it literally doesn't matter, right? Like North, even if we kill both mid and North pretty easily, we're so far away from your flag. Like, we're zero threat to taking it. But it worked out. I don't think we were. We also played this well enough to where I never felt that we were in serious danger of losing the flag. It's just there's a world in which we play that being rushed very poorly, and it gives you a chance to win the game, by being passive.
Right. I mean, you basically concede any chance to win once you get pushed out of mid. And we've got a low chance to win, but it's better than nothing.
You're risking nothing.
If only it was percent based. If MWC scoring was a thing, we would have won this game. 2-0? 2-0? Damage wise, I don't know that anyone really stood out. Donsky had really good ratios all match, which is pretty typical Donsky. But
because nothing happened during the map, so he just sat there and shot things with his archers. Let's do this.
Yeah. Oh, we might get through all these. We got that one out of the way, so now we only have 2 more. So I don't know if you guys want to push through or if you guys got to leave. What's the deal?
I'm here.
All right.
I'm good.
Cool.
Good maps. Come on.
Yeah, I do like this map. In planning time, I was, and that's probably also a problem, is that I'm saying in planning time what I think about a map instead of before the game. I was talking about, I think spiders and souls pushing and capturing these big soul hills mid give you a lot of control over the middle of the map and ability to adjust. I didn't see what happened, but we got a bit out of position. Our other call...
Yeah, your souls split to the flanks. They would have been much better doing what you said.
Yeah, I mean, our other call, we saw finally. So we had decided that you guys were just going to split Trow every map. So all of our strats, you sort of assumed that, and we split as well. So we talked about it in this pregame, and for whatever reason, I think I said, just give me a couple mercs so I can shadow Genghis if I need to. That's a mistake. I mean, either Thierry or I would be better to just have the 3 Trow and have the other person doing something else.
Right.
On a map like this, because I just don't think, there was this talk of, well, maybe one Trow ends up in the backfield. There's so many chokes that I just don't see a scenario where a Trow is able to get in the backfield, and these flags are so spread out.
Right.
I don't know, I don't really know what it's going to be able to do.
Well, it's a really fantastic map for souls too. I mean, you can see we split the souls 3 ways, and I think Arsenic was kind of struggling between, because he had half the souls whether to go north or mid. He ended up going mid, which just left your north wide open when Genghis rushed it.
So it's funny, the openings look similar at first, but then both of our souls split. So I could be wrong, but I didn't think that was our original plan. I think what's happening is ours is seeing the 3 trow, and he's realizing if I don't get up here, that's going to get kicked. LSO, I think, that's the biggest thing. I think he needs to go straight to that hill. So this could have been really bad if we let you guys get up here, which we almost did. We were, I think all talking at the same time to try to get mid. But even then, I guess we have half our souls mid at that point. So Limp really values, having a dedicated spider pack. He thinks this is like the best play here because it's, they are very mobile. So if they do get in the backfield, they can get some good tagging. At this point, it's just a fight over this flag. Genghis does shift north. I think this is where we run into some problems. So we're now in a position where, even though we've got more fetch mid, we're not really able to control it.
You've got less, I think. There's some more fetch behind the rock. You just can't see him.
So you guys are flanking your fetch, is what I was saying. So we have more fetch, but we're still not able to control the mid flag.
Yeah.
Just because
you guys have got like 1 fetch south for some reason.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a weird squad. I'm not sure.
Top block shots, I would imagine. That was the logic, maybe, like that.
Yeah, I just don't know what this is going to do. Because if you're going to split trow, like, this has to win. Right?
It has to.
Your west flank wins or you just lose the game. Because mid can camp with the souls. There's really no way we survive this unless our souls were able to come. But there's no way ours can really even do that. So I think that's the big bet, is that if you're going to split the trow, you're going to win the enemy temple fight, and then you're going to lose or concede your temple.
Gang is just a really good job.
Maybe if you sent some souls up there, because the tro can run up that temple too.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe you could have just kicked our souls off.
I think in hindsight, like if Myth had coaches and if somebody was just watching it real time, right? Like mid has to just push and win. You have more fetch. You have an equal number of souls. It's not an easy fight, but it's the only where on the map where we have an advantage. Because now that you've shown your 3 fetch here, so we're dead. West, the flank we said had to win, is at a total stalemate. Tiri, because of the souls, has to come back. So like I think that I still don't know that it would work, but that's the only play I see here that looks even like it possibly could work.
Yeah, I think you guys are just in a really bad position right now.
Yeah. Even mid is, because he can't even push up because he's getting shot at when he does.
Yeah, and that soul hill is brutal to push into.
Yeah, I mean, from this point on, like, I think this is a part in the game. You've got spiders in our backfield. We have all of our backs tagged. In our voice, I just say, we are not picking a king of the map. That's
it.
Yeah, this is the point where Limp started giving his victory speech, I believe.
What was he saying?
Just saying, we won. We totally got it. Probably saying some mean things about LSO.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, Gigas did a very good job. The thing with trow advantages is you want to be very decisive, right? Like, because they're one of the biggest things you can snowball a game with. Is once you get up, there's nothing stopping you unless there's a bunch of souls on a soul hill. I don't know that there's much else to watch.
Just a slow death.
Yeah. I mean, it's only a 13% lead, but the problem is it's also a 16-minute lead, and now it's a 21% lead. So it's, there's no win condition that I'm aware of.
Oh, yeah, could be anything.
So no problems with the trade itself. I think Thierry and I needed to be more decisive pre-game and just figure out. And I think both of us are too nice in our old age. So I'm offering to let him try every game. He's saying no. It's like one of those whole things. And then from a positioning perspective, you guys just get your foothold in mid and are able to control the rest of the game from there.
I mean, I don't think split tro are inherently bad on here. I think there's just so much other stuff that you need people to control that you don't want to waste two people on trow.
Yeah, and if you're going to do it, like I guess the other play there, if you say, okay, well, our mid can't push even if we have more fetch because the Soul Hill's just too hard, then you'd have to shift mid to Temple to try to win that fight. But like you got to give one of your flanks a chance where they can win it, particularly with our team. Like Thierry, you and Thierry were having that conversation about how ours only wants to fight when he knows he has an advantage, and he'll wait and wait and wait for the advantage. Our team tends to play that way. So I think that's on all of us for not figuring out, like, okay, well, we got to put ourselves in that position then, if that's the only fight we're going to take.
I mean, some ways it's really fine to be passive like that, but then you have to take risks too, especially if it's apparent if you don't do anything soon, that's game over, and that's what happened.
Yep. So Genghis, good job. I think again, not just because of the damage, but he was aggressive and made the decisive move there.
He got his revenge.
Yeah, that's true.
10 years later, he was waiting for that.
All right. So the score is now 3-2. Three wins, 2 losses for Hots with a tie. So this is not a deciding Game 7. This is a Game 7 to figure out whether or not we're going to have a tiebreaker. So right away, interesting trade. So we've got a whole bunch of Thrall Elite, Herons, your Dwarves, Locks, and Souls. We're on the side of Hots. You've got somewhat similar, only you see a bunch more Thel. So I understand, Shaister, the Thel were a Shaister special request. Is that true?
Actually, Genghis was really big on Thel. I like him, but Genghis was the one that really wanted a huge Thel pack. I wanted Max Dwarves, believe it or not, but
interesting.
I was the only one. I think because the hills are so good, I think the terrain is really dwarf friendly. And I think you can probably do a decent job of blocking lock shots if you've got a couple dwarves.
Yeah, I think dwarves are really good on this too. And that's kind of what we had talked about. I think the risks that we identified with this strat, which I don't have a problem with this. I don't think it's bad. I wouldn't blame this map on trade. I think this was a bad adjustment game, which we'll see. But the problem here is if you get behind, you don't have a bunch of aggressive units that can push very far, very fast to catch up.
Right.
So Shaister got the big Thel rush. Pretty standard stuff. So I think this is another example. I pointed this out in the desert game. I absolutely hate that we give you guys flag 4. This is a very common thing. So the advantage of you guys have a tag advantage on what's the equivalent flag here? I think flag 8. But we get to flag 4 first. And so your equivalent flag would be flag 6. So there's no reason for us to give that tag for free. It just happens. We've got more mid. I don't know exactly what I would tweak. I wanted us to dance on this even for the artillery, but whatever, doesn't work out. So that was I think the first, we're getting off to a bit of a bad start because we gave a flag up for free, and we don't get the equivalent tag on the other side.
I'm not sure why you guys sent Herons or Tiri's Herons mid.
Yeah, right here. So, oh, sorry. Were you saying something?
No, go on.
Right here. So we see you. I start to go to one, and I saw Tiri's Herons. I thought he was coming. At first, didn't say anything, and this is my fault. Like, I have 9%, and you've got a 17% Fel Rush. Fel are really good units, so I think PK absolutely with his Dwarf and Pus needs to be shifting to one. I need to be saying that in chat. Tiri made the decision to go help ours, which I think that's still fine, but lack of communication and then just a bad lack of adjustment. I only kill one of your Puskulls. I thought I could get that one too, which might have helped, but I'm not sure that I would have been able to clean this up.
I mean, if either PK or Tiri come down to help you, I think you stop my push. Maybe I still get the flag, but for sure I can't go back to get your home flag.
Yeah, and I think if the Dwarf and Souls both come, I don't even know if you take the fight. Because they could have shifted to be at the flag the same time as my Thrall, I think. But interesting fight. And then I wondered, so you stopped fighting me at some point, and I was curious as to why.
I felt like I was losing the melee, and plus because Fel are so much faster than Thrall, you can kind of do this in melee fights. You can dance around a bit with a faster unit and pull out the. You can see when I engage, your guys are just kind of wandering all over the place.
Yeah, it was hard. I was trying to micro my vulnerable Thrall left, but I couldn't. He did send a Pus eventually, but obviously it was too late. But percent-wise, it's still close. So we don't see HMP's Dwarf, which I don't know if like he's planning this. I don't know. This is an amazing ninja dwarf flank. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was doing it until he was like 10 yards away from the flag, and he said, "Hey, I've got a dwarf coming in." That was originally my dwarf, I think, that I handed off to him, and he just decided.
That's funny. So percent-wise, it's still pretty close. Tag-wise, it's also close. We've got a good fight here northwest. Plus going down on EW, but, similar to earlier, no real threat that dwarf's going to die. So big thing, I come down to scout the Thel. So I was wondering if I actually should have seen the dwarf, but no, I was out of vision.
I mean, I think PK must have known about that dwarf because he was fighting HMP with his souls.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see when the last time we saw it. I still don't think he would have assumed it was taking such a wide flank.
Right.
Speeding up a bit so I can get some yard work done here before the sun goes down in Seattle. Okay, so I'd been trailing Shaister with my Puskulls, because I have two, just threatening. I don't see this dwarf until the first bottle is thrown. So I think knowing how important that flag is, there was no reason for my goals to be that far up. And then you'll see some more unfortunate pussing. I don't know. That one, the goal flinched. I don't know. But
I mean, I think it's natural for you to take your Puskulls back to the mid and at least track my units or maybe go help your guys. I mean, nobody expects a dwarf to pop up out of nowhere in their backfield.
Yeah, I mean, another unfortunate pus where I pus myself. Maybe if the dwarf goes down and we still have LSO's pus, we at least stall you from tagging for a bit, even if the souls can eventually get it. But at this point, so you guys now have victory imminent, which is huge. So, from a flag perspective, just toggling this, basically we need to take flag 9 and flag 8 and flag 7 in the next 4 minutes, down 13%. Oh, Zell did call out. This is an aggressive push from Zell and Blade. So I think both of them did a good call of just running into the force. So it's kind of what we talked about in earlier maps, just committing even though you might lose, because if you don't, the game is just over.
I mean, they had a major soul advantage. That was a really good push. It was pretty obvious, but yeah.
Well, and it evened up the percentages. So it was a 13% lead just a second ago, and now it's getting really close. Good pus by Thierry.
Yeah, they're in big trouble. It's an excellent push.
Oh, that was Blade trying to stab a vet heron with 3 soulless. It did not work. We've got our flag. I'm not going to spend much time there. I think our flag's pretty safe. Souls are very inaccurate, so they're much easier to dodge than archers. So dead even in percent. So in the game, I guess I wasn't paying attention because I was busy dodging spears, but I didn't realize that the percent had tightened up this much.
I mean, this was another coin flip ending. We were lucky to hold on at the end there.
Interesting trades. You've got 2 dwarves and 2 locks and a hill advantage.
But all compressed too, though. It's a problem.
Yeah, we have a lot of souls, and the herons are all pretty healthy. You guys did conserve a lot of Thrall Elite, so I think that melee comes in big. And then we did just lose a whole bunch of souls. Fighting souls into a lock is super hard though, and there's only 50 seconds left, so we've gotta rush.
Those Thrall Elite do surprisingly well, too. Both versus Herons and Bell.
Yeah, I think Arj mentioned he wished he knew how bad Herons were. His plan was to vet up on these isolated Thrall, which if he could kill them, that makes a lot of sense, because then his attack speed would be quite good. So Thierry's doing the best he can to just rush the artillery here and contest the flag. I think he goes in a little bit early, but I can't really fault him for it. It was kind of desperate times at that point. Very good lock shot from Mr. Lord Scary Al. So this is the point. The only chance I think we actually have of winning, LSO goes for a hero lock shot where he kills this heron and not the dwarf. And unfortunately doesn't. And not that it mattered, but Blade had that dud that bounced back into Thierry. But even if that dwarf lives, if LSO makes like this shot of the century, I don't even know if the herons can dance on 8 long enough to contest before he kills him.
Probably not.
I think it's a tie for MVP of this particular game between Shaister and H&P. Shai, I think you had the 2 big pushes, but that flanking dwarf, man.
Right. I definitely could not have taken that last flag without the dwarf.
Yeah.
And he was doing work on defense too at the same time. I don't know how he did it.
HEP is super solid. I mean, I fit him in there with people like ours and Donsky, where I feel like, and you're in this category to an extent. Like, there's not a myth unit role. Like, any split in any game, I feel like you could be thrown on, and you're gonna do better than most people. At least that's my perception.
I don't know why Thierry said that this was his worst finals match. He didn't do that bad from what I saw.
No,
I think
Oh, good.
I think he felt really bad about Puss sashing his own herons on leagues. Other than that, he was fine.
Yeah, and
It looked good.
in the match, I thought he played just fine. And now that I watched the replay, like I was joking that I thought that definitely lost the game. It would have been hard. I think he might have been able to get one flag, but it would have been tough. I don't know that 3 Zerks actually swing that.
I'd say the biggest thing was just like also should not have been captain. I'm not saying he's a bad captain, but he could have been more effective actually playing the game rather than
Right. I mean, he needed to pick one thing or another, either captain or heavy hit, but not do both.
And I think he would have been better as heavy hitter for sure.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, he is definitely the best. Like I said, if he's the best clicker in the game, you'd hate to not have him clicking. And we tried. I mean, the problem is no one else really wanted to captain. We Blade kind of offered, but I don't think he enjoyed it very much. And so I feel like a lot of it, Tyrion and ours were not going to cap. We tried to have Spoon captain. I don't know that he enjoyed it. No one in their right mind would let me captain because then we would do, no trow on Lichen, for example. So in many ways, it's just like, okay, you have to captain. And then, I don't blame him for not wanting to take, an 8% goal pack, right?
Yeah.
So it was tough. But still, super close games. I mean, just like in the DE, like the dud puss on ours during the rush, I feel like there's a few moments in about 4 of these, maybe 5 of these games throughout all 3 matches that we played, where one single moment made the difference, which is rare. Even in all of the finals that I played, I'd say only Armageddon was this close. And this is like my 7th finals, I think. That was the only one I felt like every game was super tight.
Usually it was just like a landslide one way or the other. These are definitely very close games.
Cool. Well, I mean, we're wrapping up, guys. Any parting thoughts? Any congratulations? See you in particular would like to send Limp's way.
I will, yes. Good job, Limp, and listening to me and getting far more aggressive in your strategies and playing because it benefited you with a tournament win. They did. They were not. I think they were being really passive and decisive when I watched them earlier, and I just felt. I know them. They don't play that way, and they adjusted, and what happened?
Shaister, any last thoughts?
I'm super impressed with all the effort Limp put in. I mean, he basically constructed our team out of nothing. He put in a ton of time building strats, organizing everyone, and then TOing at the same time. So, a superhuman effort from Limp.
He had a color map with lines in every single map for the finals, by the way, in their private chat.
He made a PDF.
Oh, he posted it. Yeah, he posted it.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. Which I respect it. And I honestly, I never expected to play this game again, let alone have a super competitive Myth World Cup 8 years after I last played a game. So I'm thrilled. Thank you very much to Limp for making it happen. LSO put together a very fun team. So, unless he'd convinced Grim or CU to join, it would be hard for me to have a more ideal roster to come back to. So thank you, LSO. And we almost won it. So
yeah.
I think that's all I got, guys.
I know we harped on LSO a bit, but I mean, he took captain when nobody else wanted to, and he did his best. And I think he did. He almost won him as captain, so
and he
won. Be too upset.
Look, he won. He won the 1v1. He won the 2v2. He won the 3v3. He got second in TFFA on a tie with Genghis, and he got second in one of the closest finals ever. So in terms of just achievements in a single 12-month run, maybe I have to go get tested for COVID now as I'm coughing. Really impressive performance. So shout out to you, Mr. Lloyd Scarial. So I got to go do some work. I'm going to stop this recording. We'll post this on YouTube. Right. You can sign up for CU's Patreon if you want. I think you could use the donations, and we'll go from there.
Need the money.